IOM Radio Network, the world's conscious broadcasting network. Live on iTunes and archived on iHeartRadio. The voice of consciousness. And now, join Shay Parker's Best of the Best, offering celebrity guests, lively discussions, hot topics, free psychic readings, and expert guest hosts. Simply the best in spiritual and metaphysical talk radio. Listen live on your phone or device using our universal mobile player. No app needed. Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Find out more at bestamericanpsychics.com.
Hello, everyone. This is the Rock Girl coming to you live from Asheville, North Carolina. We are tuning into this evening. It's, I have so many radio shows. I don't know how to keep them straight, but this one is the Rock Girl Unleashed, Empowering Your Wild Within. And it happens to be one of my favorite topics, empowering the wild within. And I don't know if my special friend is listening tonight, but I had a conversation with my special friend today about basically not being able to keep my mouth shut. Can I say that on radio? And it was funny because I was talking to my special friend today, and we were just talking about how I'm incapable of doing that. And we were having a laugh. So if my special friend is out there today, thank you, special friend, for tuning in. And if you're not there, I love you anyway. Alrighty. So the topic of tonight's show is it's called Just Say No, the power of no. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But I have some confessions to make. Well, first of all, I just turned 50. That was scary. That was like 2 days ago. And I'm still stressed out about it. I was actually filling out a form for travel. And they asked me if I wanted travel insurance, and I said yes. And then I had to click on a page, and it was like 50 and over. Check the box, how old you are. And I used to always say 49 and younger. And oh my God, I'm still stressed about it. But I have to tell you that getting older, it is a cliche, but it is certainly true. You just, a lot of times you do give yourself the power to say no a lot better because you just feel like you just don't care anymore about getting in trouble. I was talking to my special friend today about getting in trouble too. I often find myself getting in trouble for saying something or doing something deemed inappropriate. And thus, part of the impetus for this radio show, empowering your wild within, your untamable moments. But we'll talk, again, more on that later. This radio show doesn't have callers, and so you're just going to have to listen to me for an hour if you want to. If not, you can easily click off. So I will be rambling. And, I get nervous every time I go to do this show. And I've done radio, on and off, and at times very consistently between 2006 or 7 and now. And I've done it on other stations, and I've done it on stations that have producers, and you'd think that would make you nervous. But this show makes me really nervous, and I'll tell you why. Because every time I try to dial in, I am a computer retard, all right? And I miss the cues, and we have to go to our commercials breaks on here, and I don't have a producer telling me what to do a lot of the times, and I just ramble on. So I am going to give it to you straight, folks. This may be a bumpy ride. It's about my 4th or 5th radio show on IOM Radio, and I'm still learning the ropes. Part of it is because I'm only on once a month. My other shows, I can be on once a week, and then it's more like routine. But, I have trouble, and I'm going to let you know that up front, that if it is bumpy, I'm brutally aware of it, and I kindly request that you just see me through this, but I'm not one to sweep the white elephant under the rug, or at least attempt to. So if I make a mistake, I'm sorry. Just have a chuckle and laugh at me. You don't even have to laugh with me. So I'm getting over my nervousness, not of being on the radio. I like to talk, but of becoming disconnected. And so, that is my confession for today. And let's see, what else can I tell you? This is the Rock Girl Unleashed, Empowering the Wild Within. Let's talk about that a little bit more. Normally, I have other radio shows I talk about topics with, because I like talking. And so for a while there, I thought I'd have some guests on, and guests are fun. Oh my gosh, they make the radio show for me anyway so much easier. And I'll tell you why, because, it's just a conversation. It flows naturally. Everything's great. And I don't have to hold the energy and the conversation on my own. Here I'm looking at the clock. It's 8:08. We go to commercial at 8:13. I got to stay on point here. What am I going to talk about? And I have to tell you, some of my most favorite radio shows are just me talking, because I know you guys are out there, and I'm hoping to answer questions that you guys are thinking of without you being able to let me know, because you can't call in. And I'm not dare clicking off this page, I'll tell you that much, because I'm afraid if I click off the page, I'll click off the show. So, I decided, you know what, Allison, you have to choose topics that you really know a lot about, because then you can talk about them forever. And you can talk about them, at least fill up an hour, but you're talking about stuff that you really know, and you have interacted with this topic before with clientele, with your students. And so there is a lot to talk about. And what I'm going to try and do is bring in different angles about the word no and why we have such a hard time saying it after the break. We're going to get a break in about 5 minutes or so, but we're really going to get into this whole thing about no, because I think it's one of the hardest words that anyone, at least in this country, can say, because the way we were brought up culturally. And I also think it's a dirty word. I mean, come on, we all know dirty words, the F words, the this word, that word. But there's two words a dirty word for me is should. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like when I feel myself saying, oh, I should do this or should do that, I'm like, that's a bad word. Don't use that. Pick another word. However, for a lot of people in this country, just saying the word no is a dirty word. Like we're not supposed to say that. And so we're going to get into that, more in detail after the break. But I thought this would be an appropriate topic for this show. And again, I have a show about rocks and what they do and how to use them. And then I had a couple other shows about other things. But this one is really about empowering the wild within, meaning giving yourself the permission and the power to take action. That's what empowerment is all about, is the permission and then the power to act on what you feel is the right path for you, what you are in alignment with for you. And so, that's about empowerment. And then the wild within, it's interesting because I've had some people on my show who, as I've invited on as guests, and we've had conversations, and I'm like, well, what was the wildest thing you ever did? Or what was the most untamable thing that you've ever done? And a lot of people think, oh, it's going skydiving, or it's bungee jumping, or it's something totally crazy, right? About wild, kind of skinny, I went skinny dipping, blah blah blah. And yeah, that's wild, but that's not the wild that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about doing something wild. I'm talking about the wild within, which is the untamable spirit within. And that untamable spirit is really the essence, the nuance, if you will, of your soul. Empowering your wild within could be just saying no, okay, when you feel like saying no. Normally, you might say yes to something, but it might be a really wild, untamable thing for you to say no. Or it might be a really untamable thing for you to go to bed early on a Saturday night. My 50th birthday was on Sunday, and I did a very untamable thing by not doing anything. Okay? Everybody was like, well, what are you doing? It's your 50th birthday, blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell you, I did have plans. I did have plans, and then my computer broke. And my entire life revolves around my computer because it's my work. And so I had to go to Best Buy, and I had some good support friends to go with me. And I stood in line at Best Buy, got a computer, and on Sunday, I was able to, with the support of some very helpful people, put my computer together. And so that was pretty untamable for me, because normally I would think, oh, I have to go out and I have to do something fun. But I said, you know what, Allison, I had a lot of deadlines this week. I had a lot of things due on Monday and Tuesday. And I thought it would be so much more of a gift to yourself to just get this done, do what you need to do, and then relax. And that's what my soul was saying, was just do what you're normally not doing and just fix your computer, take a shower, and go to bed early. So you know what? I did the untamable thing. I fixed my computer. Well, actually, somebody else did. I took a shower and I went to bed. And for me, that was a big deal. And I got a good night's sleep and my computer was ready. And then I got my papers done that I was supposed to do on Monday. And my week is just fabulous because I just said no. But it wasn't saying no to other people. It was saying no to the pull within me, okay, that said, you have to go out and do something for your 50th birthday. And then the other side said, just say no. And so that is a really good example of empowering the wild within. Even though it may not be wild and crazy, wild is really the essence of who you are. And because of that, I'm all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and doing this radio show tonight. And, I was really looking forward to doing this and talking about the power of no. Shortly, we are going to have to go to commercial break. And afterwards, we'll come back and we're going to talk about the 4 steps that will help people be able to use the power of no. All right, so it's 8:14. I'm watching the clock like a good little rock girl here, trying to make sure this Skype thing works great. It's 14 minutes past and 21 seconds. So I do believe that we probably have 30 seconds. Okay. So with that 30 seconds, let's talk about this. The rock girl, that would be me, discusses the 4 steps to being able to say no, because being empowered means being able to speak up, speak your mind, and face insurmountable challenges. Indeed, I can attest to that. It also says, if you are a yes person and getting burned out, discover how to gather your courage and grace and poise to follow your intuition. Oh, I think the music is coming on. So I think
you're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
No, the name is Joe. The Joe Show. And we are returning back for our 9th season here on OMTimes Radio. So tune in every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on OMTimes.com/mobile. You can take us wherever you go. Yeah!
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello! Join us, Lisa Berry and Michelle Carter, every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for the Mindset Makeover, What's Possible. Get ready to become present, clear, and unstuck, and start living fully, led by your heart. While you listen and feel this transformation through vibration of word, sound, and song, you'll open up to what's possible and experience your shift.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Oh, I think we're back. I think we're back. I think we're back. I really like that music, that heartbeat kind of thing. And so I was supposed to wait 6 seconds and then start talking. So I hope I'm good with that. Anyway, I want to say that it's not fair because when we were going to commercial break, I didn't hear the fade out music and I did get cut off. So I think I'll just repeat myself. Oh gosh, I'm having such a good time with me, myself, and I. Anyway, let's see. We're going to go back to the part that I was rereading. This is just the little post-it thing that I posted on Facebook to talk about the show tonight. So let's cover that. If you are a yes person and getting burned out, discover how to gather your courage with grace and poise to follow your intuition and take a course of action that you will be passionate about. Yeah, that sounds good. Let's talk about it. Okay. So you want to stop being a yes person. You know, it's not a bad thing to be a yes person. It was so funny. I was talking to my special friend today, and we were talking, and this person said, well, I'm not a 1, I'm a 2, meaning she likes to get along with a lot of people. And it's so funny, 1 people, I guess, speak their minds. But I guess there's a 1 person and a 2 person, and then there's a yes person and there's a no person. There's all kinds of different people, but I thought that was funny. So right now we're not talking about 1s and 2s. We're talking about no's and yeses. And so, it's not bad to say yes. It's not, as long as you mean it, as long as you are 1,000% behind saying yes. And what burns people out is saying yes when they really mean no, or I don't know yet. Or how about I'm not ready to make a decision yet? And so a lot of times there's a yes or no, and there's black or white, but also there's different colors in between. And so if you're used to saying yes all the time, that's not a bad thing. Just ask yourself, why am I saying yes? Is it because I really want to do it? Because I know what I'm doing? I want to do this and I'm 1,000% behind it. Well, if you're a yes person and those are the answers to your questions, then congratulations. That is awesome. I love being a yes person when I feel 1,000% yes. And so over the years, I've gotten better at saying no when I mean no, yes when I mean yes. And a lot of times if it falls somewhere in between, I will say it's somewhere in between. I have to think about this. I'm feeling yes, but my head says no. I'm feeling no, but maybe protocol means yes. Let me think about it. And so there's a lot of shades in between. And I first want to talk about the 100% and 1,000%. So a lot of people who either study with me or get readings with me or even hang out with me will have noticed that ever since 2013 and now, I've been using the word 1,000% rather than 100%. So let's talk about that. A lot of times people say, I need to be 100% sure. I need to be 100% in this, or I'm not 100% behind it. And so I use those words. I use that phrase, and I would talk about being 100% yes, no, this way, that way. I don't 100% love it. But I realized that with the frequency change of 2012, because it did change, and it's continuing to change, we're naive if we think it's not changing. In fact, I feel that it's changing even more now than it actually did in 2012. But I like to think that I like to say it really began to speed up in 2012, the frequency, and things are happening at a higher rate now. And if something is evolving, it is more rapidly evolving. And is it rapidly evolving in a positive way or negative way? Well, it's just rapidly evolving. And then either you can work with those energies to help neutralize them and change them into positive energy, or not. Anyway, I digress. Let's go back to 100%, 1,000%. So what I realized is that after 2012, as the energy started to speed up, 100% was not 100% anymore. It needs to be 1,000%. So when you're actually using the words, the phrase 100%, it's actually now meaning about 10%, at least in my world. I have a very interesting world that I live in. Anybody who gets within 10 feet of me will tell you that. And some of them, like my ex-husband, will run for the hills, and other people will stick around if they can survive, and other people will actually like it because they're like that too. So anyway, story of my life. Sigh. So I realized that if I needed to get anything done in this new frequency, I had to give it 1,000%. If I was trying to manifest something, if I was trying to write a new curriculum, if I was trying to drive from Asheville, North Carolina to New York, I had to give it 1,000% because that is what is required in this new frequency. And if I said 100%, then it was really just doing a disservice and dumbing it down, dialing it down to 10%. So now I always say 1,000%, and that is why. A lot of people ask me that, so I thought I would clarify it. And so it's, is it 1,000% seems like a lot more? Well, it is. It's 10 times more, I think. And if I'm doing something positive, then I get 10 times more positive rush. But, you have to be very careful because, if you give it 1,000% negative energy, or even 1,000% I don't know energy, that's what you got is 1,000% no or I don't know. And so it really forces you to clean up your act, to clean out your chakras, your auric field, your physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional planes, and you just got to be more on point. And so there's a great reward in this, but there's also a great risk. If you don't do it right, you're going to get an energetic spanking from the universe. And boy, I've had those. So anyway, 100%, 1,000%. Let's get back to yes and no. So being a yes person is not necessarily bad as long as you're a yes person 1,000%. You can get a heck of a lot done by being a yes person and being a yes person 1,000%. Yes, I am going to get my hair highlighted. Yes, I'm going to clean the house. Yes, I'm going to ask that person out on a date. Yes, I'm going to go apply for that job. That is 1,000%. And more often than not, folks, 1,000% yes energy in something that you really want to do pretty much ensures you a successful venture. At least, what I have learned. And if it's not, then you want to take a closer look at the energy and try and get what is blocking the energy, tripping you up, getting stuck in the spokes of your wheels, if you will, and pull it out of there and then full speed ahead. So when you say yes, just make sure you're 1,000%. We're good with that, right? Excellent. Okay. Now let's talk about that dirty little word, no. N-O, no. Didn't you hear that growing up? Mom, can I go out to so-and-so's house? No. Mom, but I really want to go out. No. N-O. Do you get it? Yeah, I got it. I didn't mean I liked it. Okay. So when we heard the word no from other people, we didn't like it. So automatically we decided it didn't feel good and it didn't have a good connotation, right? Hey, can I have more? Can I have dessert now? No, you didn't answer. You didn't eat your dinner. Okay. Can I watch TV? No, you're not finished your homework. So already no, wasn't feeling too good. All right. So that's us. Is how we began to develop that conditioning as a small child not to like the word no. And I don't know about you, but I thought I was going to grow up and I'd never say the word no again because I didn't like it. Well, where did that get me? Got me in a lot of trouble, got me off track, and it certainly took me on some very long detours off my path, off my karma and dharma. And so it didn't really work. So then I had to think about why I didn't like to say no. Because A, I didn't like the word growing up because it was never felt good when it was used to me. And then culturally and socially, no was not a nice word. If someone asked you to do something and you didn't really want to do it, you would not say no because it wasn't polite. It wasn't polite. It wasn't socially acceptable. And so we just grew up in this culture, in this day and age, just avoiding the word no. If you didn't like it, you didn't use it. And we certainly didn't want to hear the no. How many guys would ask a woman to marry them and were terrified of hearing the word no? No was a very naughty word and we didn't like it. We didn't like to hear it. And we also didn't like to use it because it wasn't very nice. And so, think about it. Just take a moment to kind of scroll back into the archives of your mind and try and count on one hand. It shouldn't take you long. All the times that you said yes when you really were feeling no. And so not only were you saying yes when you meant no, but by saying yes when you meant no, what it does is it takes up time doing something you really want to do, and therefore leads into taking time away from something that you really want to do. See, the beauty of saying no is it stops or arrests the energy flowing in that direction. So if somebody asked me if I want to go out for my birthday and do something, I would say, oh, no, not today. We're going to talk about after break the ways of saying no. But instead of doing something that maybe was nice that I didn't really feel like doing, the no stopped the energy from going that way, and it allowed me to take that time and energy and do something that I really wanted to do. And so by using the word no productively and responsively, you're actually making room for possibility of something that you really want to do. And when you take the action and act on what you really want to do, you have positive movement forward. And if you're very lucky, some happiness, fun, and joy. Imagine that. In today's age, happiness, fun, and joy. So no, I don't want to go out for my birthday because I have to stay home and fix my computer. But I'll tell you, when I got my work done, I felt accomplished and I was peace of mind. And I took a shower, I went to bed, and I actually got some sleep, which allowed me to have a very productive week. And so that is a really great way of putting or giving the word no a positive spin and positive energy. And so when I look at the word no that way, I look at it as a positive action, as something positive and productive and filled with potential. All right, well, I think it's 8:30 and we probably have to go to break now. I'm waiting for this music to come up. Perhaps I won't hear it. So I'm going to be quiet. I'll talk to you after the break.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
This is Terry Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Healing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Healing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth Radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
I think we're back. We're back. Yeah, I like that music. It's sexy. Okay. All right. So we were talking about the power of no, and that if you say yes, it's not a bad thing as long as you mean it 1,000%, and how that can lead to very successful ventures being 1,000% into the yes. But if you're the I don't know, or the maybe, or the no, that's okay. Just say that. You're allowed to say that. And culturally, it was not polite to say no, or it was rude to say no, or don't hurt anybody's feelings by saying no. And then what you would do is you would go down a path that you didn't really want to go down anyway. It wouldn't be successful, and it ended up taking you off your path. So, it's a no-win, no pun intended, no-win situation. So now that we learn that by saying no, you can actually stop your energy from going in the wrong direction, you can save it, and you can move it in the positive direction. Let's talk about how to actually say no, because we understand that no can be beneficial, but how many of us can really do it? And so what I'm going to do is share with you 4 steps that helped me start to say no. And I'll be honest with you, up until probably up until I was like 27, 28 years old, I never said no. I never said no because I didn't want to be left out. I didn't, honestly, between you and me, I didn't really care about hurting people's feelings. That was, I just thought that by being honest and saying no, that it wouldn't hurt people's feelings. So I guess I should say I was aware that saying no would not hurt people's feelings. But then when I got into high school and college, I realized that saying no did hurt people's feelings, but I couldn't imagine why it did, but it did. So then I started saying no even then. And then I didn't want to let people down, or if people asked me to go out with them and I said no, or I didn't want to, then I'd feel left out. So there was all sorts of reasons why I said no. And then I realized somewhere around 27 or 28 that I was allowed to say no, and that when I did say no, my life started really taking shape, getting focus, and moving forward. A lot of times saying no when you mean, a lot of times saying yes when you mean no is like treading water. You kind of stay in the same place and you don't really have an action or an intention to go forward or back, and you just kind of tread water and you stay where you are. And so I realized that by saying no, I really started to go someplace in my life. And so we're going to talk about the 4 steps in just a minute. But while we're talking about the 4 steps, you may want to write them down. And again, in my classes and my workshops, and even in my lectures and radio shows, we talk about a lot of really heavy theories. We talk about a lot of simplistic theories, and we talk a lot about making changes, which is changes we're going to talk about in the July radio show that I'm doing. We're going to talk about changes. But in order to make changes, you also have to pick a lane and stick with it a lot of times, like by making a decision. And so, with the no, it's a lot of times saying it is one thing, but it's also how are you saying it? How are you saying it? Are you so used to not saying no that when it finally comes out, it's like, no, and like you're attacking someone, or in my case, it used to be very defensive. And I was so used to choking on the word no that when it came out, it was like, bah! And people would get really offended. And then I would think that they were getting offended by me saying no, but really it was me barking at them and coughing up the word no and putting so much compressed and suppressed power behind it because it was not unleashed years ago when it should have. And so I didn't really know how to say no. I started to realize that I needed to say no. I started to say no, but the way that I was saying it was not well received. And again, there was a huge misunderstanding of the way that I delivered the no was such power and such, kind of, I had restrained it so long when it finally came out, it would knock people over. And so I was thinking it was the no part knocking them over, but it was really the way I said it. All right. So with that, let's proceed. Here are 4 steps that can help people begin to use the word no responsively. And again, as I was saying before I digressed, a lot of times when we make changes, we feel that we have to make them cold turkey. We need to stop drinking coffee right away. We need to stop smoking right away. We need to stop drinking right away. And a lot of times when we go to do that in our emotional, mental, and spiritual planes, it's like, I can't do this anymore, or I can't do that anymore. And it's the same thing with dieting. I am not going to eat any more sugar. At one point in time, we all usually fall off the wagon, unless you're a super person, and they do exist. I'm just not one of them. So, I thought, Allison, why don't you cut yourself a break and just say to yourself that you're going to be more aware. You're going to be more aware of when you feel that you need to say no. And then you're going to process it by the 4 steps that I'm going to talk to you about, and then see what happens. All right. So number 1, okay. Now, if somebody asks you to do something that you don't want to do, or ask you anything, you feel that the answer is no. What you want to do is when someone says to you, do you want to do this, or do you want to do that, or can I come over, or whatever it is that you say no about, acknowledge it to yourself and think about it. All right. Acknowledge it and think about it. A lot of times, if someone says to me, oh, well, would you mind letting my dog out this weekend because I'm going away? Now, could I do it? Yes. Do I want to do it? No. Usually, folks, we know what no feels like. It's like, boom, no, I don't want to do it. A lot of times we feel it in our bodies first that we don't want to do it. It's like literally stopping us in the tracks. And so if one of my neighbors says to me, would you mind, don't you love it when they ask that? Would you mind letting my dogs out? I started thinking, no, but would I really want to do it? No. So at least I was thinking about saying no. A lot of people would just say, oh, sure. Now think about it. When somebody asks you about doing something or a question and you want to say no, how many of you almost kind of jump over or skip over, or some of us take a flying leap over even thinking about saying no, and we're like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. And then all of a sudden we're like, why did we say that? Or maybe people are in denial and they're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then when they actually go to do it, they feel like tired or they get sick. Those are huge warning signs. If you're doing something and you're getting sick all the time, you're getting tired doing it, it's probably means you don't want to be doing it. You don't want to be doing it. You don't want to be here. You don't want to, this is not working for you. So even if you said yes and you really believed it, right then and there, because you don't feel good or you're tired, you may want to revisit, should you be doing this? All right. That's the number 1. But if someone asks you to do something, just acknowledge that you don't want to do it. You may cut yourself a break, a time or two, and say, oh yeah, sure. But at least start the thought process of, I don't really want to do this. At least you can say you've acknowledged it. And if you still need to run with it and go ahead and do it anyway, then just give yourself a break, go ahead and do it, and tell yourself you're going to think through this. But you'd be amazed at just by acknowledging the fact that you don't want to do it, it lends a whole new energy to this situation. All right. So number 2, think about saying no. All right. Think about saying, just think about saying no and what it would be like. Don't sleepwalk through it like we were talking about in number 1. So in number 1, if you're asked to do something, acknowledge the fact that you don't want to do it. You can just say, yeah, I hear you to yourself. In number 2, you want to think about saying no. Like, all right, she asked me to let the dogs out, and I'm just going to say yes, but I did acknowledge that I didn't want to do it, number 1. And number 2, I'm actually going to think this through about what it would be like to say no. So, okay, I'll do it this time. And believe me, I'm using a real life example here. Yeah, sure, I'll do it. But A, I knew I didn't want to do it. I was conscious about it. And B, I'm going to go let the dogs out for the weekend. And as I'm letting the dogs out 4 times a day for 2 days in a row, I am going to walk myself through how it would have felt to say no. So at least I can replay that all weekend when I'm doing something I don't want to do. So as my mother would say, put that in your pipe and smoke it. So I was thinking about it. All right, so that's step 2. Step 3. All right, a lot of times when we're asked to do something and we don't want to do it, and then we're just starting to say no, we're like, no, I'm not doing it, and you get really defensive. Instead of that, or we feel like saying that and like, well, that's not nice. So they just say yes. How about this? Just have a think on this. Instead of saying no, or I'm not going to do that, say no, thank you. Or I need some time to think about it. Can I get back to you? So you can soften the blow. So if you really know that it's a no and you feel comfortable, you can say no, thank you. Do you want to come out to dinner with us tonight? Oh, thank you so much for asking me, but not tonight. I'm going to pass. Would you like another glass of wine? How many of us have had people pour us an extra glass of wine, even if we don't want it, or an extra piece of cake, or an extra helping of some food that we really don't like? We can say no, thank you. So using the words or the phrase no thank you softens the blow and takes the edge off of it. And then you're not a bad guy. You can simply say, oh, no thank you. Or again, if you can't get to that point, you can say, I'm not sure. Can I have some time to think about it? And I'll get back to you. So those are 2 phrases, no thank you, or can I have some time to think about it and I'll get back to you, to give you some time. It takes the foot off the gas pedal. You'll hit the pause button, and then at least you can start acknowledging the thought process, and B, have some time to choose another course of action and then put that into gear. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to think about it, and then I'm going to say the word and then handle the consequences afterwards. And usually if you get that far, the consequences aren't that bad. So it's 8:45. I know we have to go to another break. I'm going to be quiet now. Commercials are going to happen, and I will catch you on the other side. Be right back.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Okay, we're in the last segment of the show. I think we wrap it up in about 10 minutes. Tonight we are talking about the power of no. If you're just tuning in, and if you're not tuning in and you're still there, we're going to talk about the 4th step all right, in the power of no. The first one is if you're asked to do something and you really don't want to do it, at least acknowledge that you don't want to do it. You don't have to say no. You can do yes and keep doing what you've been doing for the last 20 years. Or, well, yeah, go ahead and do it. But what you can do is just realize I don't really want to do it, but I'm going to start thinking about what to do next. So that leads us to number 2. When you're asked to do something and you're thinking about, I don't want to do this, the next step is to actually start the thought process of, if I said no, what would this feel like? So think about saying no. The first one is acknowledge that you want to say no. All right, I want to say no. But the second one is actually thinking about saying it, saying the word. What we think and what we say can all be many different things. So the first one is acknowledging it and then the second one is to actually think about saying the word no. The third one is uttering the word no, and it doesn't have to come out as a big meanie, no, I don't want to do that. It doesn't have to be said with passion behind it. It doesn't have to be abrasive. You can simply say, no, thank you. Or if you want a little bit more time, you can say, can I have some time to think about that? And it will give you time to collect your thoughts and proceed accordingly. And number 4 is suggest an alternative. A lot of times we don't want to say no because we don't want to leave people hanging. In the case of, can you let my dogs out this weekend? They should have said, can you let my dogs out 4 times a day all weekend? But they're like, oh, would you mind letting my dogs out this weekend? And of course you're like, sure, no problem. And then you're stuck home all weekend. So in that case, I would say, oh, wow, you know what? I'm not quite sure. Let me check my schedule, which is really saying I need time to think about it. And then I'm going to take some time to think about it, and I'll come back with an alternative. Oh, gosh, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm sorry I can't help you out, but I know the name of a really good dog walker. So there I said it. I said no. Yay! All right. But I also suggested the name of a good dog walker. Now, that may help them out. It may not. Maybe they don't want to pay the dog walker. But it really helped me out because a lot of times I hate to say no because I don't want to let people down. And so what I realized is, in an effort of not wanting to let other people down, oh my God, I was letting myself down all the time. I would always let people's dogs out all weekend, but then I couldn't enjoy dinner with my friend because I'm looking at my watch because I have to be home at 9:30 to let the dog out, or else he'll go to the bathroom on the floor. And so for me, again, I like to use real live examples because they're real live examples and they do work. And I simply would say, oh, gosh, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Instead of, I would love to, but. You see the difference? I would love to, but. That's not being authentic. I would say, I'm sorry, I can't. However, I can suggest a really great dog walker. Do you guys see the difference? It's a different energy altogether. Because I used to say, I would love to, but. And then I started thinking, Allison, you wouldn't love to. You really don't want to. So stop saying that. Words have power. They really do. And if you use them consistently and authentically, they turn into manifestation words and focuses and things like that. And so I took it one step further and said, I'm sorry, I can't. Or I'm sorry, I don't want to. I've even said that. However, I know a really good dog walker. Or if somebody invites you on vacation with them or to go somewhere with them and you really don't want to, say, thank you so much, but I am going to be staying home this weekend. If you're looking for a companion to drive with, I don't know anybody, but I hope that you can find someone. So that is even an alternative, meaning I know that you need someone to drive with you, and thank you for inviting me. However, I can't, but I will look for someone who may want to go. And again, it may not help them out that much, but it does get you some support. I was going to say off the hook, but don't even feel like you're letting yourself off the hook, but you're offering yourself some support to say no, to change the energy from kind of leaking out to going in a direction that you really want to. And so we'll just go over the steps one more time of saying no. One, if you're asked to do something, just acknowledge that you don't want to do it. That's the first step, acknowledging. Number two, actually think about saying the word no. I am going to utter the word no, and go through in your head how it would feel to say no. Number three, you can say no, thank you, or I need some time to think about it, and then come back with a no, a gentler no, rather than simply saying, no, I'm not doing this, and being very harsh. Because remember my example earlier in the radio show tonight, sometimes they are reacting to your burst of saying no rather than the actual words themselves. And then finally, suggest an alternative. I really don't want to go out this weekend. Perhaps we can get together for lunch next week. And it's a lot easier than you think, folks. You know, it's amazing. A lot of times when we're afraid of, I used to be afraid of saying the word no. And then I did the classic rebound. I was just saying no to everything. No, no. And then I thought that I had to really amp myself off, and I was biting people's heads off. And that wasn't good either. I was alienating people left and right, not by saying no, but by biting their heads off. And just think about it. And a lot of the benefits are not only, the benefits that you will experience from the power of no is actually making room for something you want to say yes for, making more time to put your energy into something that will help you grow, or that will help you regroup or rest, and be more in alignment of who you are. And also, it will help the person that you're talking to understand your boundaries more. If you keep saying yes when you mean no, then you are going to slowly distance yourself from that person or other people, and you're cheating yourself out of a nice relationship, or a lunch next week, and you don't have to avoid people, so you don't have to say no. How many of us do that? Instead of saying no, you just start avoiding, and then you start missing out on the good things. And at the end of the day, it never ends well anyway. If you're feeling no, then if you're not going to say it, your energy is going to reflect it, and you're going to distance yourself from that person altogether or that situation. And by simply saying no to one situation, one saying no to, I can't do it this weekend, or I can't have lunch, it doesn't mean that you'll never have lunch again. Does that make sense? So don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. A lot of times no can be a very, 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 very healthy choice. And it actually might help the other person that you're saying no to, or the situation. One last example before we close. My first job, I thought I was going to grow up and be a corporate person. And my friend got me this really cool corporate job at Citibank in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I went out and bought the clothes and the briefcase. And I was there 3 days. And I ended up staying 3 months. And it did not end well. Let's put it that way. And if I would have said, no, thank you, after 3 days, I wouldn't have wasted their time, my time. And my friend put themselves out to give me this job. And at the end of the day, it didn't work. And it would have been better if I would have said, oh, no, this doesn't work, but thank you so much, after 3 days. And so it never ends well. So if there's a no in there, just think about it and figure out how to deliver it in the most kind and healthy way possible, and make room for more. Yay! Okay, so it's 8:56, and I think this show ends somewhere around 8:57 or 8:59. So what I'm going to do is wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight and listening to my ramblings. I hope you found them helpful. At least, maybe somebody did. And moving forward, I think I'm going to do more radio shows where we kind of just talk like this, because I get a lot of messages through Facebook and email, and it's a really great way of addressing people's questions. And I love your questions, and I'm really passionate about living, learning, and loving. And so hopefully that will come through this radio show and others. And of course, empowering your wild within and aligning your actions with your soul's desire. And you will be surprised how quickly that situations for your highest good can manifest, and how much quickly, or is that a word? How faster, or how much more quickly? There you go. How much more quickly you can actually achieve your goals and enjoy success. All right. So if you guys are looking for me, you can find me at therockgirl.com. therockgirl.com. If you're interested in classes or workshops, you can find them at sacredstoneschool.com, sacredstoneschool.com. Or if you just want to hang out and chit chat, you can find me on Facebook at sacredstoneschool.com. I think it's sacredstoneschool.com, or you can put in the Rock Girl, sacredstoneschool.com. There's a Facebook page there with a lot of us on there, and we post fun things and comment. It's good juju, and I do like to hang out on there and talk to you guys and hear what you have to say and get to know you on the Facebook page. With that said, I am off to Japan. I'm leaving on Sunday of this week. No, Saturday, I think. And I'll be gone for about 3 weeks. Then I'll be back in July in the States to do another radio show. We'll be talking about changes and how to do that in the most graceful and painless way possible. All right, folks, I'm going to say goodnight. Have a wonderful week. I believe it's Tuesday, so there's a big part of the week left. Enjoy your summer. And, well, I was going to say be good to your stones, and your stones will be good to you. That's another radio show. But what I'll do is say, empower your wild within and do something completely and utterly untamable. I'll talk to you later, folks. Over and out.
Thank you for joining us for Shay Parker's Best of the Best. Be sure to tune in next week for more lively discussion topics. Have a great week, and don't forget to check out bestamericanpsychics.com in case you need some professional, ethical, and accurate psychic advice from the nation's best psychics.